Hey, this is Vinny Valentino, and I'm here with my longtime friend and musical partner, Andres Ferrero.
Hey, this is Andres Ferrero. I'm the drummer on the Broadway show Hamilton.
I'm the guitar player with Steve Smith and Vital Information, and the musical director for the Drum Fantasy Camp and Play Along Tunes.
I have a deep love for guitars, and I'm grateful to be a part of this new show with Vinny.
The show is
called Guitars and Memoirs, so thanks for joining our show.
Talking all things guitar with the guitarists that make a difference.
My dad had a lot of records in the house, and it was the 70s, so we had bongo drums and stuff, and one of the things we used to do was just play bongo drums for hours and hours. So my guitar teachers at that time were flamenco teachers.
Right.
So I wasn't really learning, or they weren't teaching me like how to play songs. People say, oh, being blind makes you a better musician, which is crap. But
right.
It really is. I mean,
Truth, man.
Because, I'd been playing solo for a while, and, I'd been playing State of Mind and all that. And then I met Richard freaking Bona. I played in a country band. Climb, ride the winds and climb, ride the winds and climb, because it's all a state of mind.
Oh, shit. I'm going to say it. Sorry, Alex. Oh, my God. That was
Nice.
Thank you.
I can't tell you what it feels like to play that tune, Vinny.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it's got such a hip groove, and then on top of it, it's such a well-written tune. It's got a story behind it.
Well, it's a crazy thing, because I got a little bit of what's the word I want to use? A little bit of pushback on that song. It's kind of crazy for this to be true. Like I wish I had made this up, but I'm not making it up. So we do the song. I played with Arif, and Arif loved the song. He loved it, and then we did it, and it was on State of Mind. I get a call on Christmas Eve from Bruce Lundvall, Blue Note. Listen, because the album was supposed to come out like in, I think it was May or April, I can't remember. Listen, we're getting a little blowback from some writers. We've played the record for some journalists. Want to be rich. I'm not sure if that's really the right message. I don't know if that because that was going to be the title of the album, was going to be State of Mind and blah blah blah. We had already figured that out, and I freaked out because I'm like, what do you mean? And I called Arif. I said, Arif, I just got a call from Bruce, and he's talking about maybe State of Mind won't be on the album. He goes, Raul, don't worry about it. I'll take care of that. Have a good night. And that was the last I heard of that.
Man, thank God he took care of it.
Man.
It's amazing to me.
But that's crazy, right? Think about that State of Mind, that album without that song on it.
Yeah.
Like that almost happened.
I mean, it amazes me that record execs end up making those decisions that artists should be making.
Yeah.
Or at least don't take some, who knows, somebody crawled, said something to him, and luckily, he also really trusted Arif. And I don't know what Arif said to him. I had no idea, but he said, and I never heard a thing about it after that. And Bruce Lundvall, to be, to all credit where credit's due, he was really nice to me, and really cool. And he came up and, when I played at Joe's Pub and said, oh, we definitely want to sign you and stuff. But that happened.
That's amazing.
That happened.
Would you say that song was sort of a defining chapter in your career?
No doubt.
Yeah.
It's still, it's funny because I go on, Spotify or whatever, and a lot of times it's still like the most listened to song. And I've done tons of songs now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Somehow
changed,
that, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say it changed my life, that song. Like completely. That was the one where I realized I know what I want to do. As a musician, they always ask you, hey, what haven't you done? What would you like to do? I know what I want to do. And that's what it is. It's always been that since I heard it, and it will always be that.
Well, the other thing about that song was it was originally Peace of Mine. And then when I was going through this whole thing with the singing thing, it's like, man, I just want to get a lot of money so I don't have to worry about paying rent and all
Life,
this.
yeah.
So I was like, I want to be rich. And it's all a state of mind, like that's what it came from, extreme anxiety.
Yeah. A lot of your music comes from a place that's so personal and so special. Raul, in that tune, if you're lucky enough to play it live with him, what does he do? He gives the drummer a drum solo in that.
Oh,
tune.
Absolutely.
And
oh man, I mean that's because rhythmically it's just crying for that.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And his dad is Argentinian, and I studied a lot of music from Argentina when I was younger, and I studied rhythm called candombe shaker, which is not Argentinian.
It's actually Uruguayan.
Uruguayan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it had that vibe.
Yeah.
So the grooves. So most of the people that I heard play before put that second beat on the bass drum. So for me, for some reason, I felt it differently.
Right.
And I placed it on the thing. And I remember our first rehearsal, you're like, you should play the bass drum straight. And I was like, yes, of course. Whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. Absolutely. And then I went home, and every time I played the song, I was like, it's not coming out that way. And I used to play a tune with Paquito that was a candombe shaker.
Right.
And it just felt so. Then after we played live again, and I just tried it, and Raul just let me play it after that. It was like,
yeah. Well, and sometimes what happens is you get used to something.
Yeah.
It's like with anything, and then you don't. There was a thing with this tune with drummers. Some drummers play that anticipation on the snare, back, back, and some go back. I can't. It's hard to do it.
Right.
Right, and it's like they both work.
Yeah, they put the bass drum ahead. Boom,
yeah,
which is cool too. But for some reason,
it's an interesting. I have loved it both ways. I think I like the candombe thing though. Honestly, now.
Yeah, it's such a great tune. It's such an important piece of music. Important to note into this. We want to congratulate you on these awards that you've gotten recently. I know that you have this Libera
yeah.
that you've been awarded, which is really fantastic for folks with disabilities. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
No, the disability one is I just got an award for as ambassador of disability advocates for 2021.
Wow!
And today with and it's with the Attorney General, the former Eric Holder.
Eric Holder, that's it.
It's with Eric Holder, and Eric Holder is one of the board members of it. It's a legal organization.
Yeah, that's an incredible. I mean, that's really a special award.
It's awesome, and I think it's because when I finally came out with Badass and Blind, that was a big thing for me to kind of come out as an artist and say I'm blind. Not that. I mean, it was obvious, but I wasn't really doing that necessarily.
Yeah.
It was kind of a step for me, like to say and really it was because I was kind of getting frustrated with all the interviews that I would do, and you know, I was mixing and engineering and producing. I'm doing all this stuff in my studio now, and nobody would ever ask me about it. And so I, you know, with Badass and Blind, they would, you know, it's like the setup that I could talk about. Hey, you know, I use this software to, you know, to be able to do my own vocal tracks, and I did my own vocal tracks on the 2 albums that I got Grammy nominations for. I did all the engineering except for I didn't engineer the orchestra, obviously. I mean, that was...
What were those 2 albums, just so we have them?
It was If You Really Want with the Metropole Orchestra and Badass and Blind.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. You're talking about engineering and mixing and mastering in your own studio, and I can't imagine that being able to see. I do that myself in my studio, and you know, I have full facility of what I'm doing. I can't imagine trying to do that and not be able to see.
Well, here's the basic way it works. So I have this screen reading software called JAWS. So the screen reader tells me what's on the screen. Of course, when you're doing, you know, when you're doing a DAW, a digital audio workstation, there's a million things on the screen, and sometimes you just want to hear the one, or you want to see the one. So that's where all of this people that are a lot smarter than me write these scripts, so that what you would normally do with a mouse, you do with a hotkey. So, for instance, in my software, if I hit Control F2 twice, it reconfigures the screen, and then I hit the F2 again, and it'll tell me peak levels. That's one of the main things you got to be able to do, is to know if you're clipping or not, or, you know, if you're
right.
So that's what, for instance. There's all kinds of ways. So, for instance, if I have 60 tracks, right, and I'm on track 5, you know, I don't want to have to hit scroll all the way to 60. So there's you can hit it's not the enter key, it's the other enter key, and you can hit the 6-0 with that, and it'll take you up to track 60. All the nudging functions, there's keys for that, so you can nudge by tick or bar or second or frame and all that. It's still an ear thing. Then the plugins, they've written scripts for plugins. So, for instance, I have like a DBX compressor,
right?
So I can hit certain keys and get into that compressor, and then tab through the parameters of that compressor, the release time, the attack time, the kind of, is it hard knee, soft knee, the ratio 4-to-1, 3-to-1, whatever, 7-to-1, whatever, the gain, all that stuff.
Yeah. How about just setting up to record vocals and knowing where the punch is, for instance? You're using your...
Got to use your ear. So here's how I do it. One thing is, I have a template. You know about templates. So
right.
I have a template that I have for my main thing that I do, which is record guitar and vocals. So I don't have to, like, every single time I start recording, I don't have to set up the buses and all that crap. I just have that in a template. So the vocals, you know, I have a vocal bus. And then I have the mics, you know, in the same position all the time. And so then I have, in that template, I have a certain reverb that I like to hear on my vocals, which is a lexicon.
Yeah.
So I have that set up. So in a sense, with this template, now that doesn't mean that when you start recording other stuff, you have to go in and you have to, you know, insert the bus and insert, you know, whatever effects you're using and you know, change it. But at least with the template, I can come in here, turn everything on, and start recording right away without having to say, okay, I'm going to set a metronome bus, and I'm going to set a master bus, and I'm going to route, you know, all this stuff to it every single time.
Yeah. That's amazing.
It's kind of, I know it's boring for people that don't
It's not boring. It's
No,
incredible.
it's not
That's
boring.
The
I
kind
mean,
of stuff that we wanna know about.
just imagining, what goes on uh, in the studio environment, and hearing you put it together.
But
What?
the other thing is too, is having been in so many studios, I
Right.
know what I want to hear. That's
Yeah.
the main thing. When you don't see, especially, but even when you
Yeah.
do see, it ends up coming down to your ears anyway,
Yeah.
right?
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
I mean, so, I have been in so many, and then with EQs, for instance, I have years of saved EQ. I'm really dreading when I change software. Can I somehow
Ah,
import my EQ, all my EQs that I've saved over the years?
and
That you know,
when you have to update the CPU, for instance, or any part of the computer, you have to
yeah,
reload
all
plugins.
that stuff. Yeah, and
Scary.
I'm not looking forward to that. But
Yeah.
that's
So if we take your albums and we go fast forward to where we are now, The Mirror was the last band album that you did.
Yeah.
What's happening with that, and what do you have coming up next after that?
well, it came out right as the pandemic hit, so all this stuff that I was going to do, I was going to South by Southwest, and I had a whole year of touring booked, and all of that went out the window. So in a sense, we're going to kind of do this fall tour that I have set up, and we're going to kind of still think of it as a tour for The Mirror, even though, it's been a year now. So
Yeah.
it's, let's face it, the pandemic screwed everything up for us.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good segue into one of the questions that I think is so important for musicians, and that is, we kind of, at least me, and I know you and Andres feels the same way. We grew up at a time where people bought music.
Yeah.
And now we're living in a world where they don't see the value in it anymore. I just hope through this pandemic we still have people that want to go out and experience live music, because it's so different than seeing a YouTube video, for instance, and owning an LP or a CD even is so different than pulling it up on Spotify. Can you speak to that?
I have to say that I know that the live thing is going to be okay. I mean, I know from what I've seen, and just in terms of the where I've been booked and stuff, it seems like people are just itching to get out of their houses and go. We'll see how that goes, But one of the things that we have to face is that we are defined as artists by our recordings.
Yeah.
Not by our gigs. The gigs pay the bills.
Right.
But and so the situation right now is fundamentally effed up. It's fundamentally wrong for us that we don't get paid for our recordings. And I don't know what the solution is. I mean, I have Spotify, but the fact is that is not right. What's going on right now with how little we get paid.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the solution is for all of us to get together and like boycott it. I don't think that's going to happen. But something has to change. Because I mean, people don't have any problem paying for Netflix. I think people are not paying for music because they were told they could not pay for music.
Yeah.
I don't think that people don't value it. I think that, when the music industry realized what was going on with Napster, they panicked.
Correct.
And they effed it up for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why, I don't give so much love to some of these music executives that everybody honors so much. They panicked. They started suing 12-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Right.
And that wasn't the solution. The solution was to convert all of these peer-to-peer things into a subscription.
Right.
service,
Right.
like Netflix,
Yeah.
like Prime Video, like all of this stuff.
You know, Prince did it, but long before it was hip to do it. And
Prince did it. He has, you know what, of steel, and also he was just so successful that he
Yeah.
was able to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and Taylor Swift. I mean, God bless her. I mean, she really she really kind of said that, you know, that's it.
yeah, but she's the only one. She I don't want to say the only one because I don't know for sure. I know there's some catalogs. For instance, Zeppelin didn't want their catalog in Spotify for a long time, and the Eagles the same way. But
we have to do something. Something has to be done, and I don't know what it is. And I know, my butt was saved by me owning my publishing on this pandemic.
yeah,
At least I had an income from that.
yeah,
But
That's
and and also, I mean, I think we kind of learned a little bit from the recession. You know, that loans were a lot easier to get. You know, we I don't know anybody else, but I got a small business loan. You know, so. But I mean, this pandemic really showed. Man,
Yeah, 2020, really eyes wide
not a
open.
good year for
No.
not a
musicians.
good year.
Not a good year, but definitely let you know what is possible and what is not. I want to talk about Bonnie's song.
Ah,
So we're going to get back into your music here for a second. Richard Hammond got me connected with you, and there was tons of music flying to me saying, hey, learn this, learn that. So the easiest way was to just learn all of it. So I locked myself in.
yeah,
my
you're
studio.
the only one I've ever met that did that.
I don't think so, man. If you look at YouTube, there are people that you've never played with that play your music, and it's all their interpretation, but they feel it, and their time
Which is cool.
great, and they
Hey,
love it.
listen, if everybody played it like me, it'd be boring. Right?
Yeah,
I don't think so, but the way that it reaches people is really special, and so. But there was one tune. Let's say there was 20 tunes. There were more, but let's say there were 20. And I set the goal to learn the entire catalog. Just in case he calls a tune, because it can happen.
Right.
And
And
Bonnie's
that's
song...
such a luxury playing with you. I can just call a tune and you know it. That's crazy.
Well, the thing was with that tune, it was, oh my God, here's one that at first listen was like, holy how am I going to play this? There's something. Oh, by the way, Vinny Colaiuta is playing drums on this one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
No pressure. But there was something about that tune that spoke to me. Maybe it was growing up listening to bands like Rush, and Triumph.
The art rock, the Yeses and the Kansas.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, like those bands that, took time signatures and made them feel like they were in four, but they clearly weren't. Right. So here was this tune, and I just remember not feeling it on the drum set. And I called Richard, and I said, Richard, I don't know what to do. I'm having this moment where I'm playing. I'll pull it off on the brushes and do whatever, but there's just something pulling me to percussion on this thing, cajon and some other stuff, and I don't know what to do. And he's like, just bring it. Bring whatever you have and just play it. And I remember being at rehearsal and looking at him, and at this point you hadn't called Bonnie's song. And at that point I was really quite nervous because it meant a lot to me. So you called Bonnie's song, and I just looked at Richard, and my face turned like this awful shade of green. And so I had all my
things you miss
stuff.
when you don't see.
Well, you can imagine. So I took whatever I brought in, percussion stuff, and I sat down, and he said, he sort of motioned to me, just do it.
Just do it. Yeah,
just
right.
do it. He's so good that way. And you counted the tune off, and boy, we went into it, and then at some point we stopped, and there was a different sort of reaction, and I was so nervous that you were going to be like, yeah, that's just not what I want. And that tune, I would say, for me, learning your music, and I can say confidently now that I know a good amount of it, was a defining moment for me. Not only because Vinny's on it, but because the tune is not easy to play. It's something you have to feel. You have to
not only because of the time signature, but because I'm not singing on the bar line.
Right.
I'm floating over the bar line. So if you listen to the vocals too closely, it could mess you up.
You can't latch on to anything. You have to look at it as a painting that's complicated that you have to stand.
You have to stand your ground on that part.
And stand far back to be able to see the actual painting. You can't be too close to it. So what was the thought process in that composition?
The inspiration is really easy. I was at a Paul Simon concert. Actually, I opened for Paul. And he played this song called The Teacher. And Jamie Haddad was playing percussion. And it was in 11/8. And I was like, first of all, it was just crazy to realize how many tunes Paul Simon has written that were just amazing and hits, just to be at a live show. And I ended up meeting Paul. He ended up coming into my dressing room, which that's a whole other, that was Don't Be a Silly Man. Yeah. That was
him. Huh?
That was him. Oh yeah, I made people guess. It was Paul Simon. And but that was the inspiration for writing that tune. And then of course Bonnie was my mother's best friend. And they were like a real bohemian couple. And they left New York and they were going to do all this crazy stuff. They left New York. I think they were in some of the first experiments that the CIA did with acid. They were into some crazy stuff. And they came to New Mexico. And Bonnie was the one that, brought my mother to New Mexico and how she met my dad. And she was this, she was the daughter of a very famous New York socialite. I'm trying to remember her name. Mabel Dodge. She was Mabel Dodge's daughter. Mabel Dodge was this famous New York socialite in the 20s. Anyway, so that was kind of and Bonnie was this person that was just free. There was something about her that was just really inspiring. And so that was how that. It was the mixture of Paul Simon's 11/8 and Bonnie.
Amazing. Can we get you to do that one for us?
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Bonnie floats through a marshmallow sky. Twilight caresses her face, gliding above all the where and the why. She's a picture of beauty and grace. Street lights and buildings go wandering by, and so does the edge of the coast, counting lovers in casual eyes, wondering which one has hurt her the most. She can go anywhere she wants, and she can go anywhere she wants, anywhere she wants. She touches down on the other side of the sea, and And all around there are people gathered there, gathered all just to be with an angel woman and her long brown hair, woman who dared to be free. They turn their heads and her mind's eyes stare, and suddenly they could see they could go anywhere, anywhere they want, and you can go anywhere and everywhere you want, anywhere you want. Anywhere, anywhere you want, and you can go anywhere, yeah, you want.
Man, beautiful.
So beautiful. Thank you so much.
That took a while, by the way. I mean, that took
no
a while.
kidding.
It took a while. I had it in my head, and I would like try to do it, and I would try to playing it and singing it. Definitely took a while.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
And it was actually the first tune that I recorded. I started working on playing in the studio, and I played bass just on the demo. And it was my first time ever recording myself playing bass, that tune.
Wow.
Amazing. Richard told me, he said, if you're going to learn any tune, spend any time on anything, do it with that one. And it just went right to my heart.
It's
Really special.
I'm really, really proud of it. Just because it's, lyrically, but also, it's kind of that thing that I strive for, which is interesting music and a lyric that's, tells a story that means something.
The whole package.
Yeah. I mean, that's, Steely Dan, whatever. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't feel like a jaggedness to your tunes like Silly Man. That's another Vinny tune, right? Vinny played on
Yes, he sure did.
You don't feel like, you feel like it's in 4. There's no you could dance to that, and that's what you want. You want.
Well, as I say, a lot of it is just, and I even say this when I'm trying to get people to play Bonnie's song. I said, don't even think necessarily, it's not as important that you think about, 11 and counting it, however you want to count it, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, however you want to do it. It's more important that the time be there. It's almost like, even if you just, that's really the thing, and of course, eventually you want to get that one so that you can maybe put the kick drum there or something, but it's all about, and so I got to just getting this feel in my fingers so that I don't have to think about it. I'm not even thinking about the thing because it's
The right
in my
hand.
it's
Yeah.
in my hands.
You have
So
to
I can
that.
do absolutely anything over it that I want.
Yeah.
And I counted it differently. I counted it 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2
Oh,
and 3,
geez.
1, 2, 3.
That's not one I've ever thought of.
So that's where it came to me. But Raul, when I heard it the first time, it was like instant. I saw the shapes and colors because I see shapes and colors when I hear music.
Wow.
And that was it. 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3. 1, 2, and 3. So for me, the space in between it was what
Right.
defined it. It wasn't the one.
My original way of counting it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. That was my original way of doing it.
Yeah, and I started that way too because I play guitar and I taught myself how to play the line just to be able to teach myself on the drums how to do it. But it was too busy for my head.
Mm-hmm.
So then I just decided, well, it's in 6, so if I count in 3, I should be okay. 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3 became 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and 2. So I just,
That's
I
crazy.
psyched
But
my
hey,
brain
if
out.
it works for you,
Whatever
man.
works, right?
It worked, but it created this space for
Right.
me that allowed the song to really be the focus, not me, being nervous and counting and being jagged and whatever.
Well, that's the whole thing. At the end of the day, you're telling a story, and that's one of the things that's I think been the most difficult for me because I'm a musician, maybe even before I'm a singer, and so,
Well, I think they go hand in hand.
yeah, but
I mean-
singers like I'm thinking of somebody like Barbra Streisand, for instance.
Yeah.
Barbra Streisand, you don't miss a word ever. She
Right.
doesn't mumble. She's acting when she's singing. And that's really, when you're telling a story, that's really important.
Yeah.
It can't be buried because you're so into the music and you're singing and your melismas and the that you throw away the meaning.
Yeah. That's caring.
Yeah.
A lot of it's lost in today's music, when people are
Yeah.
learning
All the
stuff, but-
mumbling. I can't. Ugh. And then
Well, there's a thing, the integrity of it, and when you get into an artist like yourself, you have to commit to it. To me, it's like a marriage,
Right.
or a relationship. You have to.
I mean,
commit to it.
that's music. I mean, the difference between the person who plays music on the weekends and the person who plays music for a living is commitment.
Yep.
Right.
That's it. It's commitment.
That's
It's saying, oh, you know what? Not only do I love doing this, but I want to do it for the rest of my life. That's commitment.
And the preparation. If you ever get a chance to play with Raul, which I hope thousands of people get that chance because it changed my life. Preparation's everything, but it's so easy when you connect to the music, and the music is so inviting. Every song, like everything, that tune, everything for me is everything. Like I've spent, any time that someone asks me to play, they'll ask me, hey, play something. I'll put on headphones where they can't hear the music, and I'll play to that song. Why? Because
Wow.
there's a story there, and because there's no drums on that song.
Well, what's interesting is I played that song with Liz Wright, and we had a trio of percussion, bass, and guitar. And she was playing percussion
Wow.
and singing.
Yeah.
And it was really crazy because what would happen at the beginning was when she would be fine until we got into that second verse. And it was angel woman with a long brown hair, woman who dared to be free, right? Because it's floating
Over the bar
away.
line. Yeah.
So instead of angel woman with a long brown hair, woman who dared to be free, right? Instead of that, you're float, and that would be because she was so into the vocal thing.
Yeah.
And that would be where the thing, and she, had to learn to just play that rhythm, forget about, and let the vocal flow and have that. It's almost like, I don't know, I like typing or something. Like you get it into your body.
Right, you feel it.
Yeah.
It has to be in your body.
Yeah.
I meant everybody, not everything. Sorry. So the tune "Everybody" like really just got
Oh, everybody, yeah.
everybody like that one. When someone asks me to play a tune, I'll put headphones on so they can't hear the music. That's the one I play so that they can hear. That one has a story, and I think it's so important, the message in that tune today more than ever.
Well, you know, the story behind that tune is I wrote that after 9/11.
Oh, wow.
That was a tune that I wrote after 9/11. And that's the tune that got me my two big sort of business breaks in the music business. First one was I got my publishing deal from Warner Chappell,
Wow.
which allowed me to move to New York because they gave me a bunch of money. And that was the tune that made his mind up that he was going to sign me.
That's incredible.
He goes, Raul, play that again. Raul, play that again. Well, what he did was I played the tune. He goes, excuse me, and he walks out of the room. He walks out of the room, and I'm with, you know, Kathleen and my lawyer guy, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Why did he leave? And he comes back with the whole company, with the whole Blue Note, all the people from Blue Note. He goes, Raul, play that again.
Yeah, that tune is really, really special. I haven't shared this with you, but there was a doctor here in New York who passed away by suicide. Her name's Lorna Breen.
I read about that in the New York Times.
Yeah, so they invited me to close her memorial service just 2 weeks ago. And they asked me to perform. And some of the music I performed live, you know, from the shows that I've done or records that I've done. And others I played with just headphones like I do for clinics or whatever I do, you know, where I don't have to worry about licensing or whatever.
Right.
And that song was part of the list of songs that I had to play. And it was probably, I would say it was one of the top 5 monumental things in my career, playing for her memorial. And and I picked that one, and I picked two. State of Mind I did as well.
Well, I'm beyond honored.
No, it was just so. But that song is very. Everybody. I mean, what a song of hope and a song of promise and, you know, wonder. And
not sure that I could write that one today, to be honest with you.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm in such a different space now.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so unique and so special, you know.
I mean, I've written a lot of songs during the pandemic, and a lot of them are really depressing. I have to say, I mean,
But you have to you document the time in a sense, you know.
Let's see if I can. Living in limbo with nothing to do, nowhere to go, and no reason to welcome each new day. They're all the same, looking for something or someone to blame for this midnight. You know, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Really, really. Yeah, I mean, listen, we all have been through this. My whole family recovered from having COVID. You know, 3 kids and my wife and I.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
there's one tune on the Mirror, Deep Dry Ocean, that is so special. I mean, there's just
that, you know, that's a collaboration between myself and Gerald Clayton.
right.
That's his. The harmony is basically me transcribing his chords on guitar. If you want to listen to where I got that from, it's on his record called. The album is called Life Forum. And and he does a tune on that, and there's a singer singing, no words. The words are mine.
Yeah.
But the music is his, and that's where I just love that tune. And when I got a chance to play with him when we did the whole Monterey Jazz on Tour thing, I asked him, would you let me try to write some lyrics to that, and that's how it happened.
We performed at the Iridium, not the Iridium. Sorry, it was the
Jazz Standard.
Jazz Standard. It's no longer, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know.
But, and you called that tune, and I had barely gotten a chance to really listen to it, but I heard it, and it just struck me. But again, it's the space in that song. There's moments of just space that define that arrangement and that song, and the melody is just incredible, and the words you put to it are brilliant.
Yeah, and it's a really hard one to sing because you're singing in this really quiet way with no vibrato.
Wow.
It's a challenging one to sing for sure.
Yeah, and to play because you have to know where to not, you want
transcribing that was really hard. I have to say, for guitar, the voicings, you have to say, okay, what's the essence of this voicing? Some voicings on piano, you just can't play them on guitar. So you have to figure out, how to translate it in a way that keeps the essence of it. But works on guitar.
Harmonically, it's a maze.
Yeah,
it really is a maze. You're chasing the chords with your melody. It's incredible. Raul, talk to us a little bit about the project that you're doing now. And I'm so excited to connect you with Vinny because you guys at some point have to work together. And I know that you're doing a record now that's all guitar players. Talk to us about that a bit.
So for years, I've wanted to do a record of just guitar and kind of guitar duos, like all the guitar players that I could get to say yes to, and have it be original tunes, which there isn't a lot of that around. It's always standards, which is cool, but like there's so many guys that do that so well. Like it's not something. At least in now that I'd rather do original tunes and have all different kinds of guitar players. So I've got Romero Lubambo to play like a little Brazilian tune that I wrote. One of the tunes that I just keep getting drawn to is this. I wrote this tune when I was listening to a lot of modal stuff, a lot of Joe Henderson, a lot of that kind of thing. And I wrote this tune. It was I wrote it in a swing kind of fashion, but it's super modal. Let's see. Anyway, it was very modal and had some. It was all Lydian chords and everything. And I was trying to figure out a tune to send Jonathan Kreisberg, and I said, well, maybe this is the one to send him, even though I wasn't totally. I thought it was a little, almost too derivative or something. Anyway, I sent it to him, and he said, man, I love this tune, but I want to change it up a little. I want to make it into kind of a Brazilian tune. And he ended up coming up with this. It's the same melody, but It's just
Beautiful.
It's such a modal composition, you know.
Yeah.
I love that you allow the people that work with you to sort of reimagine things that they feel and how accepting you are of that. I mean,
Man, you know what? The thing is when people come up with stuff that you didn't think of,
Yeah.
that's like, yeah, I
got,
you know.
I was going to say, let's co-write something together and
you have to, both of you. You got
please.
You got to send them some of your music. I mean,
Yeah.
And you know,
so
and it's not even like there's tunes on there that are very, simple. It's not all about the heavy jazz harmonies. It's about people being who they are.
Yeah.
And trying to kind of meld that together into a kind of a guitar album of duos of everybody being themselves.
Yeah.
And it's really weird because, we're doing it all remotely.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, that's sort of how we did the last album together.
Yeah.
Remotely.
Absolutely. Oh, man.
Raul, it's been what an honor it's been to have you here with
thank you so
all of
much for being a part of this, man. It's really been
it's an honor.
Amazing.
And I'm I'm so honored to be still in this game. I tell Kathleen, the thing is we just stay in the game and you never know what happens. There's a lot of reasons that you could come up with to give up.
Yeah.
And, with the pandemic, with, what the hell's going to happen with our tours and what are we going to do and how are we going to make a living and all of this stuff. But just if you stay in, if you just show up every day and just work on stuff, stuff happens.
I agree.
When you just be creative, don't worry about what's going to happen. Oh, is this song commercial or is this going to be, just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's great advice.
Yeah. Listen, I was in a musical coma when I got the opportunity to work with you, and ever since then, everything in me woke up, and I've never ever in my life been more affected by one singular musician or songwriter than I have.
I'm so honored, and it's that kind of thing. You don't realize when you're doing this thing how people are touched. You don't. You don't, and then you find out, and you people talk, and you're like, wow, why was I thinking that what I'm doing isn't making any difference?
Right.
Yeah.
It sure has.
I know that to be true. I remember doing if I can just tell a brief story here. I remember doing a set at Ronnie Scott's, and I remember the set to be really powerful. We had just played. The manager for Mark Knopfler was there, and he's just seen so much music. He came up to us after we played, and he said, "I think that might be the best thing I've ever seen and heard." And all of us were, kind of in shock, but we felt it. You feel the energy, and a couple of, I want to say 2 years later, this person sought me out for guitar lessons, and tracing it back, the first time she heard us was that set at Ronnie Scott's.
That's amazing.
And she described every note, and it's you never know how you touch people and how you change their lives. And
this is it's a language that we speak that's universal.
Yeah.
You can go someplace where they don't speak any English or Spanish or whatever language you speak, and yet the music touches them. And maybe they don't quite get, in terms of lyrics, but the music touches them. And that's why, I've always thought that music is important, even as a songwriter. Yeah. That it's important that you pay attention, you take care of the music. Don't just write something kind of stupid to accompany your deep lyrics,
Right.
You know, try to write some music that's also reaching in there, that's also reaching out and saying something. You know, even today I heard "You Are the Sunshine of My Life." I haven't heard that in a long time. What a great tune.
Yeah.
What an interesting tune, the little whole tone scale. I mean,
right.
That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about, you know.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be super complex all the time. Just something just playful, something interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it's honest, it touches you.
Yeah.
And that's been your music for us. Yeah.
Thanks again, Raul. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you for
this was
having
powerful.
me.